Hi, my name is Wesley Lawton. I'm the therapist at Growing Forward Counseling, and I work out of Mount Clemens, Michigan, where I see clients in person. And I can also meet with clients who are anywhere in the state of Michigan with telehealth. And I specialize in a number of areas, including trauma and grief. And one other area that I love to work in and that I love helping clients in is mindfulness. And so this video is going to be kind of related to mindfulness, and it's going to be a bit of a crash course on mindfulness, but I'm hoping to present it in a way that is really practical, that just about anybody can connect with, and to try to help you see that mindfulness is a very effective and practical and useful way of seeing things, and it's something that you can practice. It's not something that's like really philosophical or esoteric. I mean, it is and it can be, but it doesn't have to be. And those are not the most important parts of mindfulness or the most useful parts of it. So, the title of this video is You Are Not Your Thinking Brain. And here's what I mean by that. Um, Most people live their lives on autopilot, basically. They go through their life just sort of responding to their thoughts and their feelings and thinking that they don't really have a choice, or not really even thinking about the fact that they may or may not have a choice. They just sort of do it. It's not to be insulting, but it's kind of like animals essentially, who they're not really, they're thinking, but they're not really aware that they're thinking. And so I'm going to share with you about how to live with intention. I'm going to share with you about how to have control over your thoughts, and really just a whole new way of understanding yourself and your life and your capabilities. The reality is that you have a lot of control over your thoughts, and that in order for that to be true, um, there has to be a you outside of your thoughts. That's what I mean by I am not my thinking brain. There is a you that exists that can make decisions and that can exercise control over yourself and over your life, regardless of what you're thinking. Okay, so you can't fully control what types of thoughts enter your mind. All kinds of crazy, probably wild and inappropriate thoughts enter all of our minds. That's certainly true for me at times. And not that it's always quite that crazy, but sometimes it is. And that doesn't define you. But it's not always something that you can control. But what you can control is that you can notice those thoughts. That in itself is really powerful because, again, the majority of people most of the time are not even aware that they're thinking. They're just sort of, their thinking is them, if that makes sense. So you can notice your thoughts. You can think about and analyze your thoughts and learn about yourself from your thoughts. Like, I wonder where that came from. And a lot of times you can draw a line and you can understand that a little bit more. Might teach you something important about yourself once in a while that you can act on. And you can also redirect your thoughts, which means that you can stop thinking if you really want to, at least consciously thinking. Or you can change to something that you'd rather be focusing on or thinking about. We all have this capability. And it's harder for some of us than others. I think about folks who live with ADHD, and that's something that you can work on as well in therapy, through with trauma therapy, or with different strategies, or medication can be very helpful as well with ADHD. But this isn't about ADHD. Whether or not you have that diagnosis, it can be easier for some of us than others, and harder for some of us than others. But you can do it, and you can get better at it. You can uh, tap into that quickly and stay in there for a longer time. That sort of mindset of living intentionally and having control over your thoughts. And uh, very briefly about mindfulness. Mindfulness is really what I was just describing. It's being aware of your thinking and existing outside of your thinking, and exercising real control over yourself, uh, and not being totally controlled by the thoughts that come to mind or the emotions that arise on their own, uh, more or less. But really kind of making executive decisions for yourself and realizing, okay, I'm having all of these thoughts, I'm having all of these feelings, and now I'm going to decide whether or not I'm going to listen to that, or which ones I'm going to listen to, or which ones I'm going to let influence my decisions, my big decisions and my small decisions. Um, think about how your life might be different if you could live that way. Now, even those who are really excellent at mindfulness, I'm convinced aren't in that space 100% of the time. There are still going to be times where you do things on autopilot, and then you look back and you realize, I wasn't in a mindful place at that point. That's okay. And in fact, not judging yourself is a huge and very important part of mindfulness. And so, uh, it, one of the tricks about it is that even though I talked about how you get better at it in the sense that you can be in this place where you're aware of your thoughts and making clear decisions and everything I've been describing, you can do that more often and for longer periods of time without sort of getting interrupted and getting back on autopilot. But also, when you uh, when you fall short of your goals or when you get those interruptions, then that in itself is a chance to practice mindfulness by not judging yourself. If you think about, oh, I'm so bad at this, and um, this is so hard for me. If it's so hard for you, there might be some adjustments that you can make, but um, it's not about doing well at it and just noticing that it's challenging for you and noticing that you're bad at it or that these interruptions keep happening. That's a mindful moment. You being aware of that, that's a step forward, believe it or not. And so just really always getting into back into that place of like, okay, it's okay. This is part of it. And this is happening a lot. And I trust that at some point it won't keep happening. But you know what? Regardless of all that, right now, I'm going to come back to the present moment. I'm going to come back to my breath. I'm going to come back to the thing that I'm focusing on that's helping anchor me to the present moment so that I'm not controlled by my thoughts. I'm going to give you some strategies to do this. Some things that are very, very accessible. You can do them, and it's really as simple as thinking and as simple as remembering to do it. And so, if you need to set reminders in your phone or have reminders written down in your environment or on your hand or whatever, then those kinds of reminders can help until you start getting in the practice of it and getting better at doing it on your own without having to have all those reminders. But take all the time that you need with that. I would like to have that be easier for me than it is as well. So I'm not speaking from a place of uh, you know total transcendence and perfection here by any means. Okay, but here are some of the strategies. One of the easiest ones is thinking of yourself in the third person. Here's what I mean by that. Right now, close your eyes. You can listen to my voice here and um, try to imagine what you look like from kind of the top corner, one of the top corners of the room behind you or in front of you. It doesn't really matter exactly where in the room, but I find it helpful to take sort of a top down view, a little bit off at an angle, you know, change this to your needs. But this is what helps me. And I see myself and I just start sort of noticing myself from the outside. And I think about what I'm doing. I think about what I'm feeling. I think about what my thoughts are. I just sort of notice, like, oh, okay, so I'll do it right now in real time at the moment. Here's Wesley. He's sitting in his office. He's recording this video, and he's very excited, and he's doing a pretty good job. He's not stuttering too much, and he's feeling pretty proud. He's feeling very fulfilled to be able to put this out there into the world. And, um, at the end of the day, he's going to go home and eat dinner and go to sleep. And, doing this kind of, and I've stopped doing it now, but doing this kind of a practice can help really show you how trivial so many of the things are in our lives that feel very, very important or overwhelming. And I'm not saying that your problems are not real problems. I'm just saying that sometimes in the moment, the things that seem like mountains may actually be molehills, or at least we can see that they're temporary and they're fleeting and that we have other options. That at least in this moment, I'm not saying that your problems can all magically go away, but at least in this moment, when they're not, maybe it's not right in front of you, I imagine it's probably not right in front of you if you're watching this video right now, then you don't have to let that consume you. You can have a little bit of humor, a little bit of lightness, and you can be aware that you're here right now and you're not in that situation. Or perhaps it's something from the past that's got you distracted. Okay, I'm not saying that you don't have to work through that or process that, but I'm saying that that's not where you are right now. And so being aware of that by noticing yourself in the third person and sort of mentally narrating your moment to moment life, that can be a very quick and simple practice that can get you there to that place of awareness. And another one would be using your breath as an anchor. And this is, I would say, the most kind of typical form of mindfulness meditation, so to speak. And I've got a resource out there about that. I'm a co host on the Embrace Mental Health podcast. And so if you go to our website, if you look us up on um, Apple or Spotify or Amazon podcasts, if you find we have our first season on YouTube, including the resource I'm about to share with you. I have a mindfulness meditation that's a part of that podcast, and it's like 14 or 15 minutes, and it really takes you through the basics of mindfulness and some of the most kind of fundamental ways of practicing mindfulness meditation. But to make it even more simple, you can just use your breath as an anchor to the present. What I mean by that is just notice your breath, notice what your breath feels like. So, right now, inhale through your nose if you can. Exhale through your mouth or your nose, either one's fine. Continue to do that and just notice what each inhale feels like, what each exhale. Okay, I just had an interruption. I apologize. Very unprofessional. I'm going to keep going. Um, I really need to stop my computer from doing that while I'm recording videos. I think that happened in another recent video. Anyway, um, so notice your breath, your breathing, following the path of it down into your stomach if you can, breathing in and breathing out. Follow the air back out through your passageways as you exhale. Um, just continue to notice what that feels like and notice the quality, the temperature and how quickly or slowly you're breathing. Just notice that. And the really cool thing is that your breath is always with you. And that's a very clear example of something that we typically do on autopilot, which thank goodness we can do that on autopilot. But by focusing on it, then that can bring you into the present moment because your breath is always right here in the present. And just to focus intently on that helps you to not be focusing on all the stuff from the future that has never happened and may never happen, and all the stuff from the past that has already happened and is no longer happening. Again, I've already given the disclaimers that I'm not saying those things are meaningless or empty or pointless or that you should never ever think about them. Um, take it far enough, and perhaps some of those things are true. But what I'm saying right now is that you don't have to always be thinking about them. You don't have to always be thinking about them. You have some control over that. And it's nice to not have to do things. It's nice to decide when you're doing things. That's the intentionality. So, in addition to your breath, another thing that can help is to identify this. There's all kinds of words for this: a mantra, a sacred word, a special word, whatever terminology you want to use for this that works for you. Um, but I'll go with mantra because that's probably the most traditional, even though I know some people are turned off by that word. Just know that the word itself, if you can kind of let go of some of your baggage of it, it's just a word. It's a word that helps you connect with this place that I'm talking about. And so, um, using that term mantra, it might be you can change it. You don't have to identify one specific thing. I think it's nice to have a default, but um, you can change it from time to time, no matter what. And so it might be peace. It might be. I like using words in other languages actually because. Um, I don't have as much baggage associated with those words because the thing is, whatever word you choose, you want to not think about the meaning of the word. You want to not think about all of the things that are tied to that word. And so that's what I mean by baggage. Just think about the word itself. And in fact, you can use a visualization. What I do sometimes is I think about being in a wide open wilderness area like a desert or something like that. And the word is just spelled out in giant letters. And I just envision those words or the letters of that word as I breathe. I just think about the word itself. Or perhaps instead of visualizing you, or in addition to visualizing, think about the sound of that word. But it's just the word. It's not what it means. It's not all the connections to that word. But sometimes adding that word and kind of incorporating that with your breathing, whether you sort of chant it, you like say it out loud in a single continuous tone, or if you just say it or whatever, or perhaps you say it in your mind or you whisper it. Any of these things can help. Find what works for you. Change it up once in a while. It's all good. But that can help anchor you even more effectively sometimes than your breath. And I like to think that by repeating that word over and over to yourself, you're inviting more of that thing into your life. And so I do encourage you to use a word that represents something that you want to invite more of into your life. So if it is like peace or love or whatever, you can use that word. If you find that word has too much baggage for you and it's distracting, then find that word in another language if that helps and just focus on the word itself. That's a trick I haven't heard a lot of people talk about, finding it in another language, but I find it to be very effective. Not to say I'm the one who invented it. I did get it from somewhere else. So, a couple more simple strategies. One is grounding, and grounding is it's a version of mindfulness. It's under the mindfulness umbrella, I would say. It's really just noticing things in your environment, noticing things about the present moment. And so it's not just necessarily your breath or being aware of your thoughts. Um, but, oh, and by the way, I'm sorry, rewinding to some of the things that I talked about earlier, the breath and the mantra. Um, as you focus on those things, that will help you to be aware when you are thinking. So thoughts will continue to come into your mind. They will distract you. Your mind will wander. That happens. But if you have that thing that you're supposed to be focusing on, then um, that will help you to more clearly see your thoughts and whether that thought was with you for 3 seconds or 3 minutes or 30 minutes. Hopefully, you catch it before 30 minutes, but anything's possible. It doesn't matter. Just be aware. Oh, I'm thinking. I was thinking about that thing. Let me come back to my breath. And if it happens 1,000 times, come back to your breath 1,000 times. It's part of the non judgment. So, anyway, grounding is another way of bringing you into the present. And so you can just really notice details about the room around you. So there's a lot of like brown in my office here. And so I can notice everything that's brown and just sort of name it in my mind. I can count how many tiles are on the ceiling. I can think about everything that starts with the letter C in my room. Maybe you want to pick a more common letter, but whatever. Or something physical. You can notice what your fingertips feel like, or your hair, your face. This can be a very calming thing on a really deep primal level. Um, or whatever, you can tap your foot, but don't just tap your foot mindlessly. Notice what it feels like. So really anything that you can just focus on and notice. Like I said, this is painfully simple, people, but uh, it can be a helpful strategy. So give it a try and see how it goes. And then the other thing is, this is sort of connected to the mantra thing, but these are some things that I will often tell myself that can help me to focus. And maybe you want to make some alterations to make it work for you. This is what works for me. Maybe it will work for you. And it's just these ideas that there is only this breath. There is only right now. If I can remind myself that that's all that exists, because it is, especially the idea of now. Of course, I think there's more that exists than my breath, but there's only now. And now there's only now, and now there's only now, because now keeps changing and I'm moving with it into the future. Maybe that's not scientifically how time works, but that's how we experience time. And so reminding yourself there's only now, or for whatever reason I like, there is only this breath, that helps me to understand that I don't have to go down the rabbit holes or rabbit trails, whatever. Um, that I don't have to do anything. Nothing has to really exist besides right now and besides this breath. That can help me to get into the mindset that I need to be in for some of those other exercises to be really, really effective. So, hey, take some of these, leave some of these, whatever. I encourage you to practice at least one of them and just kind of see what effect it has in your life. Remember to do it often. Um, you don't have to sit for 20 minutes every single day. It's great if you can do that. But you can do a lot of these in any moment. You can do it while you're in a conversation if you want to. You can do some of these while you're driving. You can do this at any point. And so that's what I love about them. If a strategy is not practical, then it's not useful. If it's not something that you can do anytime, anywhere, then that really, really limits how valuable it is. So, anyway, I hope that some of these ideas, some of these practices make a real difference in your life as they have in mine. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. If you want to work with me some more on mindfulness and understand how it can positively affect your mental health, then, or if you want to work with me for anything else with psychotherapy, you can find me at gfcounseling.com. That's for Growing Forward Counseling, gfcounseling.com. You can email me at wes, W-E-S, at gfcounseling.com, and that's a great way to get in touch with me. And so I look forward to seeing you in the next video. I've been cranking these things out, and I don't have anything on the back burner right now. I'm sure that I'll come up with ideas in the near future, but there might be a little bit more of a break in between videos this time, which is appropriate. We're heading into summer. So thanks for watching. Feel free to rewatch or share whatever you need to do, and have a great day.